We're not real brothers, we're sports brothers. And this week, Danny White has a new contract. The Tiger King is the content we all need. Got advice for Tom Brady. And oh, yeah, we're in quarantine. Here we go. This is the Sports Brothers podcast coming at you from our houses. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Sports Brothers. It is March 25th. Christian's at his house. I'm at my house. We are as socially distanced as we can be. We've got UCF Athletic Director Danny White Skyping in a little bit to talk about what he does when there are no sports. We've also got some tips for Tom Brady now that he's a Floridian. And we need to talk about this. And we're going to start there with that segment. And we need to talk about the Tiger King because that is cray. And I don't even know how to wrap my head around everything that show is right now. What episode are you on?
I finished 2 episodes, so we'll try not to spoil too much, but I think everyone pretty much has watched it based off of social media.
Yeah. And if you haven't seen it yet, skip ahead a few minutes and skip this because there probably will be some spoilers. I'm like 4 episodes in, so I don't want to ruin anything for Christian either. But the Tiger King, if you don't know, his name is Joe Exotic. He was the owner, I don't know, of this big cat zoo in Oklahoma. And watching this, I'm learning that there are multiple big cat zoos all over the United States. And my main question is, how are we allowing this? Like, how is this a thing that is just all over the United States?
Well, when they brought up that story in Ohio where the tigers all got loose, like 50 tigers got loose, it did bring some light to the story. And then I remembered that it was on like live news, like just tigers running rampant around this town in Ohio. They ended up killing all of them. And I thought that, would have put an end to this. But apparently there's drug dealers in Miami. There's this lady in Tampa. There's this nutso guy who is clearly a cult leader in South Carolina, Doc Antle, who's got a doctorate in mystical science and, learned all that he knows from Yogaville. Yogaville is a place. I mean, there's just so many different things in this show. It's just, I can't imagine being the filmmaker and just being like, we have more. Oh, okay. Now we got to get this in. Just the number of things that they probably had to try and figure out what was most important to put in this one. I think it's 7 episode series. Yeah. It seems like I could have enough content for like 5 seasons.
Yeah. And it's, I didn't realize that there would be this cross section of people who like to own tigers and lions and are also into plural marriages, right? Like, because a couple of these guys have multiple spouses. Joe Exotic, he's married to a couple different guys that it's hard not to think of him as a predator because he marries these guys when they're 19 years old and there's a lot of drugs and other stuff involved. But then like, maybe the 2 guys he's married to aren't actually gay. It gets really bizarre. I don't want to spoil any of that for you as well.
The fact that the husband you find out about first, like, flashes up on the screen, he's sitting there shirtless with tattoos all over his body, and it's hard to understand him because he has like one tooth, like right in the middle here. And, it is just something else.
And some of the videos that he's in, he has more teeth. So I want to know the story about where he's losing all of these teeth. I'm also amazed that so far, and again, I'm only 4 episodes in, only 1 person has lost a limb to a tiger. So I think that's a credit to the tigers and the restraint that they're showing. But by far, my favorite part of the whole documentary so far is the Walmart meat truck. And how they get the meat for the tigers, where it's just like leftover Walmart meats that then just get dumped into them. And I don't know if you've made it to the episode yet with the pizzeria and how they're not just feeding that meat to the tigers. Wow. That's an exciting moment. But again, another one of those things where I'm like, how are we allowing this? But yeah, hey, America, freedom.
How about the fact that also if you own big cats or tigers, you are required to make just horrendous music videos.
the music videos. That's the comic relief in all of this, that every once in a while they just throw one in there and they're fantastic.
Yeah, Joe Exotic does his own. I mean, he has his own live, TV show apparently that he was doing. And then Carol has like millions of Twitter followers, the Big Cat Sanctuary in Tampa, but she also had a weird music video. And the filmmaker is sitting there watching it with her and her husband or whatever it is, boyfriend.
And he's sitting on a Bowflex. You notice that?
What?
The filmmaker who's watching it, he's sitting on like a workout rack. It's like a Bowflex or something in their living room.
It's just, man, it is something else.
It really is. A couple other notes. I don't want to spend the whole show talking about this. I really want people to watch this. I was really caught off guard when it came out that Carol may have allegedly killed her husband and fed him to tigers. That's, there's a lot to wrap your head around in that one. And then also the number of people in Oklahoma that voted for Joe Exotic to be their governor is, I mean, that's just a what's the word? A cataclysm or an example of politics in this country and where we are right now as a country. That's amazing that many Oklahomans would trust him to be in charge of the entire state.
Can you imagine if Joe Exotic was the guy they were going to daily for updates on the coronavirus?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. If he had to decide what to do in this type of a scenario, yeah, that would be pretty incredible.
My last note was, I think that you and I are going to have to purchase, like the loser of a bet is going to have to purchase Joe Exotic Tiger underwear and take a picture in it or something.
Either that or the what was the sex cream that he sells there in the gift shop?
Jeez almighty. Gift shop is ridiculous.
I did write one note down as I was watching one of the episodes. It just says, "I'm so glad they filmed everything." Because they really did. Like, they had cameras everywhere and had complete access to everything. It's amazing. Yeah. All right. You ready to move on to Sports Brothers of the Week?
Yeah, I got to charge my computer, so let me get my charger.
Okay. We'll edit this part out, but...
probably not. I'm back.
Oh, he's back already. Okay. All right. I'll start with Sports Brothers of the Week. And some of this show is going to be coronavirus related. That's just where we are right now. Sorry about that. But my Sports Brother of the Week is the International Olympic Committee for finally agreeing to postpone the games until 2021. At first they said they were going to wait 4 weeks and evaluate and then make a decision. And I just wondered, what did they think was going to change 4 weeks from now about all this that made them think that they'd be able to hold the Olympics in July?
Yeah, it wasn't even that. It was, you had numerous athletes that couldn't train at all. If they were in Europe, in Italy or Spain, where there's been complete shutdowns and they're not allowed to go outside their houses to, go in a pool and swim or, go to a track and run. That's clearly an unfair advantage for people who were possibly in the United States or Canada or in other areas that could still train. So it would have been an uneven playing field. And I'm sure that you would have had some countries or athletes protesting the games if they didn't make this decision. Also, kudos to Team Canada. First one, they were the first to come out and say, hey, this is ridiculous. We're not doing this. They pulled out. And then the next day is when the IOC decided to, suspend it for a year.
Yeah, and I liked Lolo Jones tweeted a video of herself. Instead of pouring Wheaties into her morning bowl of cereal, she poured just this giant bag of Halloween candy because, doesn't need to be healthy for a little while now. She's got a year. And I'm amazed at the number of sports when you start thinking about it that require more than 10 people to be around each other at a time, right? And like I talked with Marvin Bracey, a kid from Orlando who's a sprinter for Team USA, and he said that they're training up in Jacksonville and they've had to like find random places to train. And he said basically they're going to national parks that haven't been shut down yet and running on grass and asphalt. But they have to split into multiple groups because they have so many sprinters training together. And once you have a coach, an assistant coach, and a therapist there, you only have room for like 5 or 6 more athletes. And so they've had to split into multiple times and multiple groups just to train. And so it's caused a lot of problems for them. So I'm glad they pushed it back. We'll get to the Olympics next summer. is going to be action-packed with sports. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah, I think it's nice. I personally, my wife played softball. She has a lot of softball friends that were training for these Olympics. The fact that it wasn't completely canceled preserves the chance for them to return to the Olympics. Softball hasn't been in the Olympics since 2008. It's not back in the games in 2024 in France. So I know there were a lot of people who came out of retirement, pitchers for the U.S., pitchers for Canada, that came out of retirement just for this opportunity to get to perform in the Olympics, and that won't be taken away. So I think a good call just to push it back. And yeah, hopefully, who knows when the end of this thing is, but by the summer of 2021, you would hope we're in a much better place and we can have this happen.
Yeah, exactly. All right, who's your sports brother?
So I'm going to go with just whoever's doing the ESPN programming. I mean, there's been some games that I have no idea why they're replaying, but on ESPN2, I believe it was Saturday or Sunday, they went full Ocho. They did their, August 8th programming where it's just some random sports. So Saturday morning, I think it was like 10:30 or 11. I'm sitting there having a Bloody Mary and watching Nutty McNulty in the National Rock Skipping Championships. Looked like they were off of some Great Lake. It must have been 4th of July. There's like 5 judges with red bucket hats. Every competitor is like just an old man who's picking up a rock from the shore, has no athletic ability at all. But, it provided some levity to the situation that we're all in, watching rock skipping and whatever other random sports they were throwing on there on that Saturday or Sunday. I can't even remember what day it was.
One of my greatest dad moments was when I showed my kids how to skip rocks, and they still think I'm like a legendary rock skipper because they can't do it at all. And, growing up on the lakes in Idaho, I would have some opportunity to refine my craft. So I'm quite the rock skipper. I need to see if I can get into those championships.
The thing is, it was a windy day, whatever Great Lake they were on, because it looked like it was somewhere in the Midwest. I grew up going to Lake Erie and a lot of solid skippable rocks there. It looked similar to that, but you would catch a lip, and that wasn't a good thing because you wanted to get maximum numbers. I did learn that it's not about how many skips you got. It was actually just the beauty of your skip. And almost a couple of ducks were beheaded by a few stray skipping rocks. So that added some danger factor to the rock skipping. But once again, Nutty McNulty was my favorite rock skipper.
Yeah, you really want to catch some good air with that first skip, and then just let it glide from there. I think that's key. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay, so we got that. Again, we got UCF Athletic Director Danny White coming up in just a little bit, but let's do a good tweet, bad tweet first, and get some more coronavirus content in there because that's what everybody loves right now, right? So good tweet is going to be, we're giving it to Joe Buck, and it's a lot of tweets because he's out there doing play-by-play. He's having people send him videos, and he's doing play-by-play for just their ordinary lives. And I saw one moment with Mina Kimes from ESPN where he did play-by-play of her playing fetch with her dog. Little 39-second video, and it's just his voice and some of his mannerisms and things that he says worked into there that just make it so great. It's really fantastic content, and I would just say that coronavirus has birthed a world of amazing content on social media. People have found creativity that they didn't know they had.
I think E60 did a whole thing on Rex Chapman because he was already creating great content, but it's what the world needs now. Is we're all stuck in our houses. Everyone's on Netflix watching Tiger King, but while they're watching Tiger King and picking their jaw up off the floor, they're also scrolling through Twitter or Facebook or on Instagram. And there's just been so much good content. So there's a lot of funny people out there, and so that's what's getting us through this. I saw there was a quarantine bingo game you could play on your Instagram. You could just do random stuff around the houses to get bingo. I thought a lot of the homeschooling jokes could also fall into our good tweet. I saw one that said, homeschooling is going well. 2 students suspended for fighting and 1 teacher fired for drinking on the job. The other one, day 7 of the quarantine, I just saw parents scraping the terrific kids sticker off their minivan.
Yeah, my mom's a teacher too, so she's been sharing a lot of those, and just that's really fun stuff.
A bad tweet. We had one that we saw. I'm sure there's all sorts of bad stuff going on as well. If you're not, social distancing, you're a bad tweet. But also, one guy went to a coffee shop drive-through, had the person put the coffee like on the windowsill of the drive-through. Then he took out Lysol and just started spraying the coffee. The spray's all going inside of the store and everything. It's like, dude, make your own coffee first. It also just don't be a dick.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good advice. Generally, that's going to be good advice for this next few months or however long we're in this. Just don't be a dick. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So that's good tweet, bad tweet. You brought up a new segment that you wanted to do. That just a really good question that I think everybody needs to contemplate right now. What was that?
Yeah, I asked Danny White about this. First thing you want to do when it returns to normal.
Yeah, and I thought of a lot of different things. I think there's the obvious ones of like go to a bar or go to the beach, just be outside. But I think like I'm yearning for human contact right now. And I'm just going to want to walk up to people and give them a hug. And maybe that's really terrible advice or terrible to do because we could kickstart this whole thing all over again. But I feel like there's going to be a lot of people that just need hugs when this whole thing is said and done.
Oh, without a doubt. And I'm sure your kids by the end of this are going to be like, Dad, get away from me.
Yeah, I don't touch my children right now. Yeah, I stay far away from them. Tuck yourselves in.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I don't know. I do want to, my affinity for breweries, I think is well known. And I would like to just go and sit and have a beer outside of my house and just sit and watch sports. I think going to a sporting event, of course, we're sports fans and this is a sports podcast. Like that could be it. That could being shoulder to shoulder in a packed stadium and then turning after a touchdown and giving that guy next to you or woman next to you a high five and a hug after a big touchdown. I think that will be what I would really enjoy doing right now.
I agree. And then the other thing I just thought of that now is slipping my mind and I don't remember. So
okay.
there's that
too. Great answer.
Yes. I think just having conversations with people where you don't have to stand more than 8 feet apart. Like my neighbor walks over while I'm fixing my sprinkler system, and I'm just kind of like, "Don't come too close there, Jack." Like let's keep a little distance.
Yeah, I thought Danny White had a pretty good answer to this as well. That's called a tease.
That is a tease. All right. And then, okay, so we've also got some advice for Tom Brady now that he is a retiree in the state of Florida, because this is where everybody comes, although not retired, I know. Let's get to that. Let's do Danny White first, the interview first, and then after that, we'll talk advice for Tom Brady now that he's in the state of Florida. So UCF Athletic Director Danny White just got a new contract. We talk about that a little bit and just the state of sports as they get into this quarantine a little bit further and maybe where all this goes from here. So here's Danny White.
We'll go with the important question first. We've got UCF Athletic Director Danny White on the show now. Danny, have you watched The Tiger King on Netflix yet?
I thought about 20 minutes of that the other night. Holy cow, is that that's interesting?
It's a trip, man. That's what I've been binging and getting through this. But more seriously, what have you been doing to get through all of this? Because what does an athletic director do when there are no athletics right now?
Well, priority one is to stop my kids from killing each other. We have 4 kids in the house, and they're still on spring break. The Catholic school system just extended the spring break, so they don't even have the virtual learning to occupy their minds right now. That'll start next week. So that's been a challenge, as I know it has for everybody with kids in the house. But we're trying to stay connected to our coaches, and our coaches are doing a great job working remotely and staying connected to our student athletes. It's obviously a challenging environment, but doing our best to stay positive and get through it.
Danny, 2 kids here. I think ran from a sprinkler party, so I may have a little mud on my face or something. But how are the coaches staying in contact with the players? And I know that some players are probably practicing on their own. What is that conversation that they're having?
Yeah, it's a balancing act between trying to be respectful to what the healthcare specialists are telling us to do. I think it's really important as a fan base, as a university, as a community, that we are serious about everything they're recommending. The social distancing is so important, but also keeping our student athletes on track. It's being a high-level athlete is a 365-day-a-year endeavor. There's a health and safety issue if they're just sitting around doing nothing. So we're trying to, within the NCAA rules, make sure that our coaches are connecting with them, especially in a sport like football. This is the time of year they'd be in spring ball. They'd be doing a lot of film work. We can do that remotely, and we're doing that so that they're prepared for the season. But they also need to be doing some physical activity. And it was a little easier to do that last week when they could go to their local gym. Those are all shut down now. So our strength coaches have had to get creative with, at-home training things that they can do. So, there's not significant muscle atrophy, which could lead to injuries and all sorts of things. We're hopeful that we have a normal intercollegiate athletics season next year, fall, winter, and spring. And we want to make sure that our kids are ready to compete and represent themselves in this university.
I imagine that's the message you're kind of giving to boosters and season ticket holders that you're still trying to get on board. Is there resistance to that message? Are people really, really concerned about what's going to happen this fall?
I think people are. The doomsday stuff we've heard about, could we lose the football season? I think that hopefully that motivates people to be champions at social distancing. Let's get really good at this thing right now and nip it in the bud so we can move on with life and everything we love about sports. And so I've sensed that at least the people I've talked to, certainly our coaches, they're all embracing the challenge. There's no point in whining about it, or what are we going to question the smartest medical professionals in the world and their recommendations? Let's do what they say and get past this and hopefully have a great fall season in all of our fall sports.
Danny, what is the latest that you've heard from the NCAA about the spring athletes getting that extra year and what that's going to mean to roster limits, scholarship limits, and all of that?
They're still working through logistics. It sounds simple, but it creates a lot of complications. Yeah. You pick any sport, they all have a maximum scholarship number, and we've all recruited and committed and in many instances signed high school seniors. They'll be freshmen next year to meet that maximum scholarship number. So if you let seniors come back, you're going to be over. There's an expense to that with the scholarship. And then there's also kind of a competitive balance to make sure that teams aren't taking advantage of that situation. I believe that all of those student athletes, whether they're a freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior, should get an added year. It's obviously easier to manage for the underclassmen because you can plan for that in recruiting and manage your roster. I also think that the winter sports student athletes, especially the seniors, I think should get an opportunity to come back if they want. We're in the people development business, and these kids devote so much of who they are for their whole life just to get the opportunity to play college sports. And for some of them, that was maybe their one opportunity to make the NCAA tournament or in any of those winter sports. I think about our women's basketball team, for example. I hate to see that opportunity get taken away, and I think we should, if at all possible, try to overcompensate to make sure that the student athletes get their fair due.
No, that'll make sense. Now, Scott Strickland, the athletic director up in Florida, we heard him say something along the lines that if there's no football, that would shake the foundation of college athletics. I know that's kind of vague in what that means, but can you agree with that, or do you agree with that college athletics would be in trouble if there was no college football season?
Yeah, I think that would financially, it would be just an incredible challenge. It probably a bigger challenge actually for the bigger budget athletic departments that this may be maybe the only example I could find of us being at 65 million is an advantage instead of being at 150 million. Is that, sorry guys, you there? I got a random phone. But the fact that we're a more lean budget, it still would be really difficult for us to manage, but we wouldn't lose, $100 million in revenue if you consider the TV revenue that a lot of those Power 5 conference institutions are getting, and then the season ticket and donations they're getting out of football. Those are probably two $50 million line items. But we would lose a huge part of our budget. And so we're trying to do whatever we can to be prepared for that. I think it's a very small possibility. I'm hopeful that that's not something we're dealing with. But every FBS athletic department in the country is going to be in a very difficult situation. I guess it'll be a critical time for our country and for our state governments to hopefully help college athletics. It's not a common thing to happen. We're usually trying to be self-sustaining, and I know in the state of Florida we have all these restrictions on state dollars that can't go to support athletics. So we try to generate our own revenue, but if we get put in that situation, it wouldn't be dissimilar to the bailouts and stuff that we're seeing happening right now for corporate America, because I don't know how we make that work. You have long-term debt service payments in our case with our stadium that's pretty conservative compared to other schools, but it's still a $3.5 million a year payment that if we don't have any revenue. I don't know how we'd make that whole. And obviously there's expenses tied to our athletic department that our football revenues, north of 25 million now. And we rely on that heavily.
Danny, that's all serious. What about the lazy river and the construction there on the Cove? I mean, we have to ask you every time we see it.
I know. So our capital projects are all privately funded separately from our operational budget, and those donations are restricted towards those projects. So the Roth Athletic Center is on track to open this summer. McNamara Cove, we're working on what's a realistic reality for that. It may get postponed. I'm not sure yet, but it's the pledges are there, and it will get built. Really looking forward to the uniqueness that'll provide for our student athlete experience and our game day environment. But we're trying to more figure out the immediacy of building a budget for next year with all of these unknowns. Where does the NCAA distribution land? We don't know that yet. What happens to enrollment at UCF and the student fee revenue that is associated with that? There's a ton of question marks for us that we're still kind of waiting and see how things play out.
We should probably also apologize for not starting this by congratulating you on getting a new contract and signing on with UCF for, I guess, in perpetuity, the way that contract is built. You were criticized heavily, though, for your national championship claim a few years ago. Have you sent all of those critics a copy of your new contract?
I have not. We're really excited to be at UCF for the long haul. And I think we can build something really special here. And the part of that announcement I think that excites me the most is just the message it sends to our fans, to our donors. This is a destination place. That's how I view it. That's how our coaches view it. And we're going to build a monster of an athletic department here. I'm extremely committed to that, and I wanted our donors to see that because I'm financially committed to that, and at probably a level that's a little bit unprecedented for other athletic directors across the country. But we have every intention of continuing the work we've had going here, and just really excited about what's going on. It's once we get through this, hopefully a short-term worldwide issue, we're kind of all in it together and get back to the nuts and bolts of building an athletic department. We couldn't have more momentum. And I've been amazed at how fast our budget has grown. The facilities we've been able to build in such a short time, it's a testament to our donors and our fans and everything that's going on. And I think that our student athletes and coaches have far, as much as we've built the resource base up pretty quickly, they have far outperformed, the way that we're supporting them. I can't believe we finished 29th in the country for the All Sports Cup in the fall. We're on track to have our best year ever by far for the whole season. Both tennises were ranked 17th in the country when the spring sport season was canceled. Our softball team had a number 7 RPI and baseball had number 12, both of them the best start in school history. So we have a lot of good things going on. We have great head coaches, really talented kids, and it's only going to keep getting better. So really excited about the future and just grateful for the opportunity to be able to stay here at UCF.
Danny, we're going to record the rest of the podcast, but one of the topics we're going to discuss is the first thing we want to do when we get some sense of normalcy back. For you, what would that be?
The first thing I want to do, maybe just go watch a practice. I think I'll probably spend all day going to watch each of our teams practice. That's what's been the most painful part. And I know there is much more serious things obviously going on in the world, but I like to take pride in knowing what I don't know. And I know college sports, and I'm in college sports every single day. And the experience we provide these kids is really important to me. and I know what they put into it. So it's really painful to see that taken away. That's who they are. That's their identity until their playing career is over. And so I'm looking forward to seeing them just having their practice jersey on and being with their teammates.
Yeah, one of my I'm just gonna want to like hug people, right?
Just a high five would be great.
Yeah. Any like actual physical contact with other human beings will be kind of nice. So if I hug you when I see you again, that's where that comes from.
There we go. I went for a run this morning, and it's so awkward I'm trying to be good about the social distancing, but when you're approaching somebody running the opposite direction on the sidewalk, I just kind of run out in the street and just make a circle around them.
Be careful. Don't get hit by a car.
Yeah, no. There's not that many cars on the road.
That's true.
What cyclists do and strap like a pool noodle to yourself, right? So then they have to like run around the pool noodle that way.
That's a good idea.
I'm good. You good, Joe?
Right. We really appreciate you taking a few minutes. Hope this all ends soon so we can get back to a little bit of normalcy, man. And good luck to you and stay healthy.
Yeah, you guys too. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'm sure we'll see you soon. We'll get through this thing.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, Danny.
All right. So thanks again to Danny White. And going for a jog would be really nice without having to bump into people and go into a practice. I got to imagine for a guy like him who is so used to shaking hands, having meetings, being at practices, being at games, that this right now, this sedentary life is just driving him insane, I would imagine.
Yeah. The interesting thing out of that interview is, how the coaches and the strength and conditioning staff are having to keep these guys strong. I mean, you're talking about football players, offensive linemen. How are they getting the food that they need to keep that weight up? If you're an offensive lineman, you hear that they're taking in like 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 calories a day. What are they doing to work out? I know I saw like Edgewater football team is having like the kids do like a deck of cards thing. Like if it's a spade and it's an 8 of spades, you got to do 8 push-ups. If it's a heart, it's sit-ups. If like Edgewater, they've been very creative. I don't know if UCF can do the same sort of thing, or what are they lifting? Are they like going to like flipping smart cars in the UCF parking lots? Like what are they doing? I know Dylan Gabriel's at home back in Hawaii. So you hope maybe if they have something in their house they can do in their garage, but you know that not everyone has that. An offensive lineman needs to be able to like lift large, heavy things. It's not like you can go out in your garage and pick up like a bag of fertilizer or something that weighs 20 pounds. They need 300 pounds to lift or something.
Yeah, it's a good point. You don't want to like lose that muscle mass, because if you're just doing lots of reps with lower weight, that's not the same as, like you said, like bench pressing 300 pounds a few times, right? Like it builds a different kind of muscle. And so they are going to need to find that out. I would imagine a lot of them probably have some sort of setup at home, but I'm sure plenty of them don't also. And
we're going to see the worst offensive line play ever in the 2020 college football season if we have it.
Or it'll still be really good because all the defensive linemen will be like slimmed down too.
That's true.
Everyone's just going to be like really slender and fast, right? Like it's going to be the fastest football we've ever seen.
Me and you in the trenches. That's what it's going to look like.
It'll look like a high school, like a Catholic high school offensive line.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. All right.
Cool.
All right. Let's get into little NFL. Tom Brady, as we all know, is now a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. He held his first press conference. It was just a phoner because obviously we can't all be in the same room with Tom Brady asking him questions, and refused to say anything bad about the Patriots. Said he's really excited to be with the Buccaneers now. But we sent out on Twitter, or I guess it was Facebook and Instagram, what's your advice for Tom Brady? And we actually got a couple of decent responses. One of them was get good health insurance because your offensive line sucks. Another person responded, have your AC serviced regularly. And then another person advised him to wear Lady Gaga's meat dress and swim in Lake Okeechobee. I'm guessing that's a Dolphins fan who...
Or a
Tom Brady in Florida.
Extremely unhappy that he left.
Yeah, could be that too. The only one I came up with that I thought might be useful for him, given recent history, is he maybe don't visit any massage parlors, or at least not any recommended by Robert Kraft.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
Yeah.
I think some serious stuff, like he's going to do it, like buy a house on the water. You're in Florida.
Yeah.
Buy all the jet skis and toys and all that stuff for your kids. Maybe Derek Jeter's house is for sale on the bay. If you've been over there, it looks like a Walmart, but it's actually a house. Like, it's the size of a Walmart. It's very nice and ornate and all that, but it's insanely huge. And then pub subs. I mean, you gotta get a pub sub while you're in Florida. Maybe he already knows that because they would come to play the Dolphins and the Bucks in the past and stuff. But those are my generic bad suggestions.
Yeah, he's gonna need to find like the new just hole in the wall places where he's going to get recognized everywhere, but maybe he can just go grab like a beer or grab a sandwich. I guess he doesn't drink. Grab like a sandwich or something. He's got that TB12 program though, so like I guess he's just going to have to find somewhere that he can just get some really good algae to eat or something. Whatever it is that he eats. Yeah, so
I'm sure there's a vegan place in Tampa.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. Plenty of strip clubs too. So look around, find something you like. I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe it's tough. Well, why not?
Are the Bucks actually going to be good though? Are they going to make the playoffs?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a pretty simple question. I don't think there's any way they don't. If he were to get hurt, then yeah, probably not. But there's too much talent on that offense. Their defense was getting better towards the end of the year. Is the offensive line going to be poor unless they get someone great in the draft and they're able to bolster it that way? Yeah, but he's still so good pre-snap, knowing where he wants to go with the football, and with those guys on the outside, he'll have them set up for success.
Yeah, I do think not having any sort of off-season programs is going to hurt them a little bit, because anytime you have a new quarterback in a new system with new wide receivers, they're going to need time to develop that timing and the camaraderie with those guys so that everybody's on the same page and knows all the check downs, where he's going with it. That's going to take time to learn, and not having an off-season program is going to hurt that. So I wouldn't be surprised if they get off to a little bit of a slow start this next season, and then maybe in late October or mid-October and into November, they start to put it all together, and then it's fine,
I still think he could have Mike Evans and Godwin over to his whatever giant house he gets on Clearwater Beach or something like that to run around in the sand.
Yeah, that's true. What I don't understand is the people who think that like Tom Brady only dinks and dunks and throws like short passes and timing passes and slants. Like when he had Randy Moss, he threw 50 touchdowns, and a lot of those were deep balls.
That was 10 years ago.
I know it was 10 years ago, but
12 years ago, something like that.
He still can throw the ball deep, and he's going to have wide receivers that can get open deep. We've seen that from those guys plenty of times. So I think this offense is going to be a little more wide open than people think it's going to
be. Yeah, they got the talent for it.
Yeah. All right, man. Anything else we need to get to, or can we go to dad jokes?
Let's dad joke it.
All right, dad jokes. You want to go first?
What's the difference between mashed potatoes and pea soup?
I don't know what.
Anyone can mash potatoes.
It took me a moment, but then I got it. All right. What did the duck say when he found an avocado?
What?
Guac, guac.
Good one.
All right, that's it. That's dad jokes. That's this episode of Sports Brothers, our first fully quarantined episode. We'll see you again next week, and don't forget to check it out on YouTube and the WFTV Now app, and like and subscribe and all that, and share with your friends. And hopefully this helps you get through another day sitting at home waiting for an episode of the Tiger King.
Love you.
All right, see ya.